attention and never fail to mention that we go hard every time we go in. Everything I'm feeling must be something I've been missing. However, although
Welcome to part 2 of the Book Babe Summer Special on poetry. We will be continuing our theme on poetry, but before we begin, I'll have the ladies introduce themselves. I'm Danica.
Hey y'all, I'm Bridget.
Hi, I'm Takesha.
And I'm Erin.
So for part 2, we will be discussing She Must Be Mad by Charly Cox.
Toni Morrison once said, if there's a book that you want to read but hasn't been written, then you must be the one to write it. Charly Cox did just that. She's a writer, poet, and producer who published her first poem on Instagram in January of 2017. Since then, her work has been published in Refinery 29, and she was asked to be the poet in residence at Virgin Radio. Her poetry talks about destigmatizing mental health as well as women coming of age in the new millennium. She Must Be Mad is Cox's first published book, and hopefully it won't be her last.
Thank you, Bridget, for that wonderful intro. So She Must Be Mad is also divided into 4 sections, just like Milk and Honey. And I kind of want to go through each one and share our thoughts and ideas. So the first section is called She Must Be in Love. And here she talks about love and that you will fall in love with all types of men, which no one tells you. And the idea that love isn't what you thought, that these men exit early. It's not what you thought. You might end up with heartbreak. So what do we think? Is love what you guys thought it was?
After reading that, the first thing I thought was many men. I have not been in love with many men. That's one. Infatuation, maybe. Lust, quite a few times. But love, not so much. So,
I guess it depends on what your definition of love is. So in the book, she talks about whatever love is for her. And you saying that you haven't been in love with many men, I think it just really depends on your definition. I don't think I've been in love with many men at all. I don't even know if it's a few.
I could literally say it's been one. So for me, that chapter was totally unrelatable. I couldn't get into it because I didn't feel like there was something in that chapter for me. Like, I felt like that was her exploring her own version of love. And for me, that just wasn't the journey that I took I've just not many men. And the whole thing just wasn't me. So I don't know.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said different versions of love. I think when you're younger, what you think is love and what you're older, what you know is love are 2 totally different things. So for me, like you said, I've only been in love once. And I thought I was in love when I was younger, but I wasn't. So.
Yeah, so love isn't what you thought. So how do you know when you're in love? That's a question I'm asking.
You don't know what love is. You barely even know yourself, let alone knowing whether or not you are in love with someone or even love someone outside of that in love part, just loving someone. I just don't think that you know what love is when you're young. I don't. Romantic love. So how do you know when you're in love or just love someone? I think you know. When you know, you know.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I feel like there's just a difference in the level and feeling. Like, I think when you're young, it tends to be infatuation. You just want to be around that person all the time. You just want to touch them all the time. But when you're older, like, love, I think, is multifaceted. So there might be times where I look at you and smile, and sometimes I'm just like, yo, in my mind, I kick slammed you 3 times because you're getting on my nerves. So I think that there's levels, but knowing that I feel so strongly about you that I'm willing to work through these things that get on my last nerve and still try to figure out ways for us to work together, because I don't think that love is always happiness. Like, sometimes there's going to be dark periods, but it has to be, for me, somebody who I feel like it's worth the dark moments. So I think that's the difference, because when I was infatuated, it's like, oh, you're so cute, and then you get on my nerves, it's like, okay, I'll find somebody else who's cute. So
I was definitely gonna say something similar to that. I know I'm in love when I'm willing to still stand by your side when I'm pissed off. Okay, when I'm still there, when I'm upset or you make me extremely angry, and I'm still sticking around, I'm still willing to sacrifice and make this work. Then that's how I know I'm in love.
you ever seen that meme of the old man playing with the umbrella and his wife just pissed him off and he's still holding the umbrella with his eyes rolled. That's some type of love. Like, he's willing to get wet and she just pissed him off, but he's like, I'm not gonna let you get wet, although you're annoying. So
Yeah, I would have to agree. When you're younger, your idea of love is much different than when you mature and you actually get to experience it, and you experience it in a different way. That's all I'm gonna say on this topic. All right, so the second section of the book is "She Must Be Mad," which is also the title of the book. And here she talks about mental health and the stigma that comes with mental health. And she ends the chapter by saying, kindness is all that matters. So any thoughts on mental health and how society views people who have mental health issues, or, kindness, being kind to one another?
I could jump in. So I have people who have serious mental health issues within my family. So I do have people who suffer from schizophrenia. And the thing is like, for them, like, kindness with a mixture of medication is the answer, if I'm being honest, because kindness doesn't necessarily solve all of the world's issues. It's nice to be kind to people, but when you have a serious mental health issue, you have to actually go and get the help. So I've been very big, I think, in the last year about talking to my friends about getting help. If I feel like they're suffering through mental health issues, talking to them about my own experiences taking therapy, and really starting to understand how I break down those situations for myself. And it's helped me to change even my own mental thoughts and the way that I view things. So yeah, I would love for people to walk around and be kind to each other all day. It's not reality. And I don't think that, in my experience, that kindness is going to solve everything. So that's just my thoughts.
I do think that being kind can make a difference, though, in someone's day. I mean, I know it sounds a little cliche, but there could be that one moment where someone's already on the edge, and you being kind to them pushes them off the edge, or you not being kind pushes them over the edge. So just a thought. That's the thought I had when I read that.
And for me, kindness could be something as simple as a smile. So I smile all the time, and I think that's why all types of people come up to me all the time. But sometimes all someone needs is a smile, and they need you to smile at them. So kindness comes in all forms.
I'll definitely add to that. I think it's kindness and also understanding. Like, being able to understand that, okay, this is a mental illness. Like, it is an illness, just like if you got the flu, if you got sick and whatnot, but it's something that people are dealing with for their entire lifespan, right? So having that understanding of what someone is going through, along with that piece of kindness.
That just made me think about, I've been trying to explain, because I have someone in my family who's dealing with an illness, and just trying to explain to people that this is an illness and this causes this type of behavior, and that they're not just doing it because they want to or they want to be mean. Like, people do need to have a certain level of understanding and just know that this person's not malicious. Or this person and you knew them before, so you know that they don't act like this on a regular basis. I think people do need to have an understanding and maybe educate themselves more about illnesses and mental health and how to deal with people like that.
And even to speak on the topic, I mentioned that I have someone in my family who's schizophrenic. He's like 6'5", big black guy, but I've known him my whole life. And so for me, when I see him, he'll walk around, sometimes he talks to himself. It's become a norm, and I understand that that's who he is as a person. So even when I'm outside and seeing it in the world, watching someone talk to themselves doesn't bother me. Like, I have that understanding that has to be difficult to be in a world where people are literally talking to you and at you at the same time. So I know that has to be a constant battle that he goes through. So my level of empathy for people who have mental illness or mental health issues has risen. Has always kind of been high. So,
Thank you. So the third chapter is called "She Must Be Fat," and here she talks about the standards of beauty, things like adding filters to your picture to make you look differently, even like just eating a piece of gum for dinner. Oh, it's not funny.
It's like, that really does happen. Like, that's a crazy thought.
But it depends. Who's eating a piece of gum for dinner? I'm not eating a piece of gum for dinner because in my, culture and society, that's not the look that's
Yeah.
valued, or whatever word you want to use. So yeah, you want to add something?
When you said that, it made me think about like within our culture, right? We value a more thicker or curvier woman. So like you eating a stick of gum is not about to get these hips. You're not about to have this big booty. Like it's not about to do nothing for you, sis. So when I think about that, I think about it in the opposite, where it's like girls that I know within our culture are dying to be slim thick, right? And like the things that people do and the lengths they go to be slim thick.
You talking about booty shots?
Booty shots, everything.
But
they call them
BBCs.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the right one, sis. Know what you watching? Yes, yes. But it made me think of the opposite. So, like, I think within her culture, maybe that's something that's a little more pervasive. But it made me think about how they then turn around and go get booty shots. Like, you think about your Kylie Jenners, right? I just saw a video of her walking up a staircase, and I was just like, yes, the two. I was like, what is that? Like, I couldn't. I don't. My head couldn't wrap itself around what that was on the back of their bodies. And I'm like, it's not. But they will eat that stick of gum, right, and have that really slender feel to them, but then they'll inject their butts with these humongous butt shots. And I think that social media has made that a little bit more acceptable. Like, social media has definitely started to play a way into how we feel about ourselves, and I think that that's why people will do something like, I eat a stick. I'm not eating a stick of gum. Like, but I feel like I understand why someone would want to do that, because if not, then she must be fat. And then in our minds, fat is not desirable. And then you start to play into not desirable, lack of self-confidence, and then no man, which I think for some women is the ultimate goal. So. It did, didn't it? Yeah. I didn't think I had no serious point. Yeah.
I definitely feel for this generation because even for us, when we think about our culture and video girls, you know, they were not slim thick. They were just really pretty girls, regular size. And when I say regular size, I mean just not even standard model size at that time. They were probably even a little bigger than that. And that's what we were interested in. But that wasn't far off from what we were naturally. So I definitely feel for this generation who unfortunately are comparing themselves constantly to celebrities and people that they see on Instagram, which is another thing that we didn't have. We didn't have to compare ourselves to random people who are on Instagram who have 1 million followers, but I mean, who knows? They probably don't even have a bar of soap, but we don't even know. You know, it's a lot of pressure for them. And there's a lot of unknown, and there's a lot of risks that they feel like they need to take. And I didn't even really think of it like this until no, but seriously, because people are comparing themselves to people when you don't even know what they have, and they could have zero, but you're comparing yourself to them, saying that you want that. They could have gone to the chop shop, scraped up whatever $100 they had, and gotten an injection. She's gotta have it. But no, oh yeah. Right, but I was thinking about, have any of you watched Euphoria yet? Yes, that's my show. And at the very beginning, she says, like, we are like this because of the world that we grew up in. And that's true. It's like 100% true, and it's scary, and it's sad. And, you know, I feel for them. I hope that there's an outlet and a way to change that, because it takes a lot for you to become mentally strong, you know, as we talked about with Amy Morin. But when you're in that situation, when you've grown up like that, I think it's going to take even more. So for us, getting mentally strong, I think it's a little easier than it is for this generation.
That's true, and they all got the same bodies. All of them look like they went to the exact same doctor and asked for the exact same procedure. All their butts look the same, stomachs look the same, titty, face, nose,
everything.
and literally everything. Like, and it's scary. I agree with you. They look like clones of each other, and I'm just like, what's the difference between you and every other girl who went and got this done?
Yeah.
Like, are they truly happy? I don't, like, that's the part that we should really start to look into.
Yeah. Whew, that was funny. Okay, and so the last chapter is called She Must Be an Adult. And it's the idea of growing up and becoming an adult and no one telling you how adulthood is. Like, no one gives you a warning. All you hear is life is hard, but you never really get that full warning of like, nah, this is really hard. So what do we think about adulthood and being an adult? Is it what you expected? Do you want to go back in time?
I can start off. I will say this. I don't want to go back in time because I feel like right now is lit. However, I will say that people definitely warned me that adulthood was this hard. Did I listen is the question, and the answer is no. Because I feel like when you're getting older, everyone's like, oh, it's about to hit you. It's about to hit you. You're going to graduate soon. You got to start working. And I just feel like all of that went over my head because I was young and I just didn't care. So people do warn you that adulthood is hard. I don't think we absorb it. And secondly, I had another point, but I totally forgot it. So I'm going to come back to that in a second when I think a little bit more. But I did have something else.
I think it's just a time that's glorified as like this point where you achieve this freedom that you've been waiting for your whole life. And it's just described as like this positive, great, fun time. But then you realize, wait a second, I got to pay for electricity, gas, cooking gas, heat, gas in my car. I got to pay to travel. I got to go have a hard day at work and come home and still do stuff around the house. I can't be upset for too long because I got to keep it together to do what I need to do. Like, there's a lot that goes into adulthood. And you know what? I don't know if y'all warned me. No, I'm serious. And maybe somebody can correct me. Maybe one of my family members watching can correct me. I don't think y'all warned me the way you should have. So I'm warning whoever's watching this, don't try to grow up too fast. Enjoy your time now. Have fun. Stay in your parents' house for as long as you can. Save your money. And then be an adult when you're like 25.
So that was what the point was. I came back to me as you were speaking. I felt like we were in such a rush to be grown when we were younger. Like, I still remember hitting 16 and really thinking like, oh, I know everything and blah, blah, blah. And now that I'm an adult, I'm like, damn, you didn't even know half of what you actually thought you knew. So now it's interesting to have that perspective because I feel like when I do have children, when they hit 16, they probably going to be the exact same way. They're going to think that they know everything in this world. And hopefully I can warn them, listen to Erin, listen to all of us. Adulthood is very hard. But I do like it at the same time. So, like, I don't mind it because adulthood also means you can travel and do what you want and there's no restriction. You can live and be your authentic self. So there's a lot of differences in adulthood, but I do definitely think that it's a lot harder than I thought it would be.
I think your 20s is kind of like tricky because you're still trying to figure things out. And so when I was like turning 30, everyone was like, oh, everyone who was above 30 was like, oh, that's going to be the time of your life because you got to figure it out now. And, you know, you're not struggling as much. If you kind of laid, if you laid the foundation. If you laid that foundation in your 20s, then you set up your 30s to be real nice. And so I'm having a good time now. So I'm an adult, a full adult, and I'm having a good time.
You know what? It's so funny that you say that because I was just having a conversation with someone, and I was like, I feel like I'm still trying to be out there. Like, I'm still trying to go out and have fun. And the person has a child, so they were like, oh, you know, like they feel the opposite. But I'm like, I feel like I'm just getting started. So I agree, like, and now that really makes me think that maybe we should be pushing these kids back a little further, like maybe into your 30s you should be trying to get pregnant because this is like prime time right here.
Yeah. I'm having fun.
Yeah, I was definitely going to agree because I just turned 30 and people keep asking me, how does it feel? And I'm like, I feel good. I'm out here getting it, making money, traveling, having the time of my life. And like when I was younger, like this point in my life is what I always wanted. Yep. Yeah. The stuff that happened in my 20s, nah, you can have all that. But right now, where I am right now, like this is what I wanted growing up. You know, this is what I've always wanted. And thinking about like adulting being hard, it became hard for me once I hit all those milestones in life, like graduating from college, getting your master's, finding the career that you wanted. And then now it's like, whoa, so I've done everything that everyone told me I should be doing and what I wanted to do. So now what am I supposed to do? So like that part of adulting was like the most difficult for me because I understood the bills and all the other stuff. It's like whatever. But now it's like you have those things under control. Now what do you do? Yeah. Like what's next?
Yeah. Anyone else want to add something?
No, I think that sums up everything.
Yeah. So adulthood, yes, we're warning you not to grow up too fast or too quick. Take your time. However, if you lay the foundation correctly, once you hit your 30s, you're going to have a really good time. Lit. Yeah. But it's all about that foundation. Well, now it's time to transition to Rate That Book. And Rate That Book is a segment where we rate the book on a scale of 1 to 5, and we use one adjective to describe the book. So we must choose wisely. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. So I'll begin. Unrelatable.
Cathartic.
Unexpected.
Wow. Well, there you have it. She Must Be Mad in a nutshell. We really hope that you enjoyed this episode. We had a good time discussing the different topics from the book. And thank you for tuning in to part 2 of our Book Babe Summer Special. This is goodbye for a little while. This is the end of season 1. We had a really good time sharing our thoughts with you all, and we hope you did as well. Does anyone want to add something?
Thank you all for tuning in. Please make sure you leave some comments below. Tell us what you think about our conversation and She Must Be Mad. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Book Babes Read.
And we plan on being back in the fall, so look out for us around September. All right, ladies, this is it. Bye.
No, the clock will tick. So while you get lit, focus on your grind. You'll reach your prime. When it's your time, will you remember? Remember, you shine. Two separate styles fight the mesh within the anguish. Misunderstood, unable to speak each other's language. Where the symmetries align, I have hopes been crushed. Loyalty, while our eyes wide shut on some Stanley Kubrick. Life's a puzzle like a rubrics in which you begat these other notes flat. Sing your soul and